Hello and welcome to our very first episode of Zantchito podcast. In this episode, I have my lovely guest who is right beside me, Mr. Buddhika Samarasinghe. I hope I got that right, yeah?
You got it absolutely right, Gertrude. Thank you.
All right, so he is Zantchito Entrepreneurship and Access to Finance Project Director. Yes?
That's right.
Perfect. So we're going to dive into what makes an effective ecosystem ideal for idea stage entrepreneurs and what the program is doing to achieve it in Malawi. This episode comes to you with financial support from the European Union, EU, and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. So, Mr. Buddhika, what does it take to translate a business idea into a successful enterprise?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Gertrude, for having me on the podcast. First of all, it's really a pleasure to be here. I think we need to think about this in a multitude of ways. People often tell me that it's about innovation, doing something completely different. That's what will make you a great entrepreneur. And although that's helpful, in reality, the people who generally make it and do well in business don't necessarily have to have the most innovative idea. What they need to have is resilience. That means the ability to go through the ups and downs of a business cycle. However good your idea, however good your plans, that's always going to be an important facet. But also, you have to have what we call an entrepreneurial trait. The most successful businesses are run by people who can take risks. Now, everyone says they can take risks, but I can tell you that not many people can actually do it very, very well. So the reality is that if you want to look at risk-taking, there are a number of parameters. There are a number of parameters of having resilience, of following through things that makes entrepreneurship different. So let me just give you an example. For instance, there are typically in most economies around the world, and Malawi is actually no different from even a European economy or another African economy. We typically find in surveys that only 10% of the population have this entrepreneurial trait. But we expect a lot more people to do business. So it is a lot more than just having a trait and having a good idea. It's an ability to take risk, its ability to see things through, its ability to plan, its ability to understand a market. It's a multifaceted approach that you need. And of course, an ability to sell yourself. Because ultimately, what are you doing? You're selling your business either to customers or to financiers where you want to get it growing. So in a long and convoluted way, I think those are the most important elements of having a successful entrepreneur.
Are there any common pitfalls entrepreneurs should avoid during this initial phase?
Yeah, I think there are many pitfalls, right? First of all, I think the key element is, I always ask some entrepreneur, what is the business going to address? What does that mean? There are kind of two elements to that. One is this a problem that your business can improve? Or is this something in your head that you think people have and that you could improve it? If it's the latter, that it's something you think that people can improve, then you're likely to fail because you're not addressing a problem that anyone has actually got, right? The second thing is you need to understand the market. So before you start with anything crazy or a new idea or any disruption, I would say, go and study who is it you're going to sell to and how often are they going to buy your product or service or whatever you want to do through your business. And is that enough for you to grow and to get other clients? So it's repeat clients, getting new clients, and how do you develop that? in an effective way. So it means that you need to plan, you need to think, and it's not just about just diving straight in.
Okay. All right. I want to understand one thing with this project. Why did you see that it was very important for you to help the entrepreneurs at an idea stage?
So, I think the thing is that this program goes back and forwards across the whole ecosystem. So what we're not trying to do is to say we're just going to pick one bit of this. We're going to look at all of it. So, but what frequently happens, as you say, is that we look at SMEs which are already developed, and then we try and get them to grow or formalize. But the reality is Malawi has for a long time been stuck in a few sectors and been doing the same things. But as once Albert Einstein said, if you try and do the same thing over and over again and expect another different outcome, it's not going to, that is the definition of madness. So what we are trying to do here is trying to look at how can you get these ideas and sharpen them.
Oh, that's actually very, very enlightening in many ways. And okay, you have mentioned something about how you are intending to help these entrepreneurs in all the stages. Yes. How supportive is Malawi's current entrepreneur ecosystem for aspiring businesses?
So I think it is very early stage, right? So first of all, you have to look at the ecosystem in terms of where is it? It's only a few years old, effectively. And everybody is learning, both the people who provide services as well as the businesses who are trying to apply for this. So I think what we're saying is that the early stage of the Malawi ecosystem has been done very well, right? So they have provided the basic training, the basic thought and the curriculum that you need to think about a business. To think about a business in a more structured way. Okay. So where's your market? From there, what do you need? How do you cost that? What's the financial returns you're looking for? What's the partnerships you have to develop? Who are the people you need? Yeah. So it can go on and on and on. So it has that curriculum, but what it's currently missing are the elements that Zantchito is trying to bring in. So first of all, who is an entrepreneur? As I said before, we're saying these mystical 10%. I mean, some countries it's 15, in some countries it's 8, right? But who are these people who've got these traits? So what we've tried to say is, let's try and think about, have you got all of these traits? And if you haven't, which bits do you need to improve? So that's one thing that we're trying to bring to the ecosystem. For a business, it is critical that they have that support when they need it. So what we're trying to do is bring mentoring, right, from experienced people who want to help these young businesses. But not only just want to help, but have the time and the dedication to do it, and the experience in those sectors. Because every sector has different kinds of challenges. And so you need to deal with that in different kinds of ways. So I think that's what we're trying to do. And finally, we're trying to look at how do you get finance into this system, which is a very challenging and difficult thing, because no one wants to give finance to someone who's unproven. So, and that's what we're looking at. Yes. So we're looking at the whole ecosystem from what we call pre-incubation. This is the ideas, to incubation. But then what do you do afterwards? You've got a business model, you've got a prototype, you've shown a few sales. Yeah. How do you get to the next stage from that? So we also look at that as well.
Okay. No, that is actually wonderful. I think that also reminds me in my early stages as an entrepreneur, because I have been an entrepreneur before. I mean, I still am. But
you never stop being an entrepreneur.
Truly. So I did attend a few sessions, incubator sessions or programs. So mostly it's just always about they train you as an entrepreneur, and then after that, they release you into the world, and then you have to figure out the other parts on your own. What are some specific areas where you think this program can improve?
So I think, as you said, first of all, it's really great that you are a genuine entrepreneur, because I think a lot of people have to understand that the first time you don't always succeed.
Yeah.
Right? Even the second time is very difficult. But the third or fourth time you can succeed. And that's the resilience and the determination to do something. But what is it that we're doing that is different, right? So one thing is that we are not just trying to, for instance, improve a course.
Okay.
Right? That can be done by anybody. But
Right.
but when we go, what's left? The issue is, how do we build the ecosystem? So if you are looking for somebody who wants to get, for instance, very specific advice,
Yeah.
and they can't get it, how do we link an incubator with that advice? How do we get that advice to be provided on a commercially sustainable basis? Because you can't do anything for nothing, but in a way that is going to be helpful for that entrepreneur. So what we're trying to do is, one stage is strengthen the BDS, what we call BDS, Business Development Service Providers. These are the people who provide very specialized, to give them what we call downsize their services, so that the services really meet the needs of these early stage entrepreneurs.
Okay.
The second thing we're trying to do is make these incubators understand and test some of these new approaches, like, for instance, an entrepreneurial tool, how to get mentorship moving, how to think about, engaging with finance, and how to bring that in over time, not immediately, but over time. As you said, first year of businesses, about 50% fail.
Yeah.
And then the next year, another 25% fail. Right. So you're having very high failure rates. And what we're trying to do is to reduce that, choose those who are genuinely interested in starting a business, and help them on that journey. So that's what we're trying to do.
Right. What you're saying is actually really amazing. I mean, yes, small businesses are failing and others are actually succeeding after they have failed. What's stopping other people from actually doing what you are doing?
Right, because I think, because we have an interest in just having success all the time. So if you're a business, and especially a small business, as an incubator or BDS provider, you don't want failure. You can't afford failure, because that's going to impact on your business.
Okay.
But what we're allowing in our program is an ability to experiment. That there's no one size fits all, and there's no one size approach to doing this. But what we're trying to do is tweak on the edges to try and develop a series of models. It can't be one model. There's no one Malawi incubator entrepreneurship model. I would love if that was, because then you could just flog it around everywhere, right? But it doesn't work like that. So what we're trying to do is look and give the space for others to experiment in a way that doesn't damage the businesses. So we're very clear that we are supporting them, but then allowing incubators to understand and these providers, these business service providers, to understand, look, there's a market here,
Yes.
but it can be done. But why don't we try it like this rather than that? And why don't we link it with something else?
Okay.
And that will be what the market needs. So there's an experimentation and an iteration on this program.
Wow. I wish I was there. Like now, I wish it was then, so that maybe I wouldn't have failed in most of those. Because they were pretty good ideas, They were really, really nice ideas. I still have a lot of proposals for those. Can I still apply to them?
Of course.
Still open. All right. So can you highlight for me the unique opportunities that Zantchito is offering to new entrepreneurs right now?
So I think, the people frequently say, oh, if I had money,
Yeah.
if I had free money, this would make my business work. And I'm very against free money. Not because it's not nice to have. Of course, everyone wants free money.
True.
But free money comes with conditions, and it comes with requirements. And for an entrepreneur who's starting off early,
Yes.
you need to have freedom to experiment. And that free money makes you compress and move into areas that you may not want to do. And that may lead you to failure. So what we're trying to do is to say, look, yes, there is a little bit of money for experimentation. Of course, we understand we're trying to do something different. But more than that, if you're committed, we're making sure that the ecosystem is committed to help you in every step of the way, from registration to understanding finance, to understanding how you're going to sell, how you're going to get your supply chain moving. How is this going to actually happen? Who do you sell to?
Sure.
These kinds of things. And what are the things you should be aware of? Like, for instance, big supermarkets may want credit on 90 days. How are you going to run your business when you have to have that? These kinds of things. And how do you do that when you bulk and scale? So these are the kinds of things that, as a program, we're very keen to help entrepreneurs.
It's actually a good idea because, as you're saying that you really hate free money, the whole idea of free money, and it is true. It is actually the biggest factors where a lot of entrepreneurs fail, because looking at the mindset of a lot of young entrepreneurs, they think like if they can have free money, then they can actually do anything. But it's also like you're saying offering mentoring services, because if you go into a venture without having proper understanding or knowledge on how you can manage your finances, hence you can manage the free money also.
Yeah, I mean, we run many programs like this as Cadmus around the world, right? And one of the things we've noticed is actually at the end of these kinds of interventions, we ask entrepreneurs what was the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
Right? And most people assume it was the free money.
Sure.
But 80 to 85% of respondents say actually it was the mentoring and the support. It wasn't the money. And it is quite an interesting dilemma that people have, because that's what people assume that would be the normal thing.
Okay. So, what long-term changes do you anticipate in Malawi's landscape because of Zantchito's efforts?
Okay, so first of all, what we're trying to do is as you said, behavioral change.
Yes.
So that takes time. It's not going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? But what we want to see is a variety of incubator models being developed that can address different needs. So we want to see a variety of incubator models, university, private, non-profit, all growing and doing different niches and being signposted effectively so entrepreneurs understand that there is a kind of understanding of what it takes to be an entrepreneur. That's one of our hopes, right? To say that to young people, it's an opportunity. Yes, a lot of people prefer to have a job, but if you want to take a risk and think about it carefully and make this your job, it could be incredibly beneficial for you and the country and for people who can get jobs and grow. In the region, there are lots of providers who are willing to give finance, but they can't find the kinds of companies in Malawi that can absorb that kind of money. Even in small amounts, they don't have any of the systems that are required. But these people not only give money, but they give opportunities, markets, access, skills that will make you grow from doubling to going 10 times bigger in a very short period of time. So we'd like to see that. We'd like to see that kind of investor enter Malawi, or to get investors in Malawi
Yes.
to understand that opportunity, so that in the end you have a diverse ecosystem. You have new. It's not rare for new businesses to form,
Yeah.
and that people, instead of, typically people do a job and a business here, right? and everyone has one, right?
Yeah.
Because that's something for some people to really commit to that business and to grow in that, and that's our hope.
How many incubator centers have you identified so far?
Well, there are about 15 in Malawi at the moment, which
15?
are 15,
Wow.
which are operating, which is a lot more than people think. We're initially working with 6 to test some ideas.
Okay.
And then we are expecting to expand to take possibly not all, but because there's a challenge of managing that many. 15 is a lot of incubators to manage, but we would be looking at least 10 in the next year or so that we will work with very closely to provide these kinds of support.
So, this is a mixture, tech, whatever.
Everything. Yeah.
Or in campus.
So we're not trying to target. So the danger in small countries is that you want to try and pick a winner. So you want to pick a sector which you think is going to do better than anything else. And unfortunately, life doesn't work like that. As you know, as an entrepreneur, you're sure you've got a winner, and it just doesn't work, right? So what we want to do is go broad.
Yeah.
And let those incubators pick the winners, and put their money where their mouth is, and help these people grow.
All right, going back, we have talked about how we're trying to create this mindset change within the entrepreneurs, where they should not just be, there's free money, let's join into this program. How critical is access to finance for idea stage entrepreneurs, and how does Zantchito facilitate this?
That's a very, very good question. So when you first start with a business, it's very rare that someone's going to give you money.
Yeah.
Right. And in a way, that's kind of to be expected, because you haven't shown anything. You've just shown a very good idea on a piece of paper.
Yes.
And typically most people, about 90% of young entrepreneurs, rely on friends and family to get finance or to start something. What we're trying to say is, yes, use that little bit of money and we'll help you to initially think about your idea, refine it. And if we think it's good enough, we will help you to get into an incubator program that allows you to leverage your money with a little bit, and I stress a small bit of Zantchito money to test a prototype.
Okay.
So that then you have something credible to take to a financial institution. Say, look, I've made 15 sales of this. Now, if you give me finance, this is my market, this is my business model, this is what my structure is, I'm registered, I understand financial management. Now, that makes you a much more compelling story to go and get some finance, at least a little bit to begin with, to grow. The issue is, how do you grow?
Yeah.
And what is the problem that you address? And then the money will come. But you need to take the first step. You have to have confidence that this thing is going to work.
Yes.
Then others will have confidence. But if you're waiting for money to come, then that means you don't have confidence.
No, I hear you. Also, I remember, I think a couple years ago, it should be, I think 4 years ago, I had this initiative. So it was an idea that Malawi apparently didn't even have that idea then. So as an entrepreneur, I'm also trying to look for, free money somehow just to get this idea starting, right? It was a big challenge for me to actually get the idea started and approaching organizations to actually hear this idea, for them to actually understand what it is, and for them to help, it was actually a big challenge, and especially when finances are always involved. Are there any specific financial challenges you frequently see entrepreneurs facing that Zantchito will help address?
Yeah, I think frequently what happens is the entrepreneur wants everything.
Oh,
Right? They want the working capital, they want the investment, they want everything in one.
just to happen,
As
just all
one.
at once.
Right? And I think that's a mistake, because that scares people, saying, wow, I'm going to commit everything
Yeah.
on someone who sold, if they're lucky, 10 things, right? Just assume, right?
Or nothing.
Or haven't sold anything.
Yeah.
So how do I know that, as you said, you're not going to run away and
Yes.
and give another, buy something else, right? And so I think what we're trying to say is, look, start modest and demonstrate that this can impact on your revenue and your bottom line. Everything that does that gives confidence in an investor. So the first thing is to get enough cash flow to increase your revenue. And once you have that, right, then you can start planning and showing your business plan and what you can grow to.
We have talked about the ecosystem, we have talked about finances, we have talked about a lot, but the one thing that we haven't talked about is, how do you identify, how do you find them, or how do they find you?
Okay, so I think this is a very, very good question. And we're as you said, we're looking at idea stage
Yes.
entrepreneurs, right? Ideally, we want them, so we put out a call, and typically we're targeting institutions,
Okay.
higher education institutions. So not only universities and secondary school colleges, but also TEVET institutions, people who have vocational training and skills that they may want to take to the next level. They see an opportunity to do that. What we try and do is we try and bring them into the system through a series of hurdles that they have to run through. Because life is not about just going straight through.
Yes.
Right? You have to jump over and test ideas. So as long as you can get through the next stage, we take you through an incubation cycle, bring in finance, we bring in support from BDS providers, as I talked about, and then at the end, these move and graduate into full-blown businesses.
Once an idea stage entrepreneur has established their business, what's the next step in scaling up?
Right. So the next place in scaling up is that we are actually, as they go through this process, we are developing both skills and documentation, right? So skills, of course, we talked a lot about.
Yes.
But documentation, you need to put forward a business plan, a finance plan. These things have to be based on reality and what you have learned. And so what we're trying to do with all these graduates, TEVET, graduates with ideas, early stage businesses, is to get them to have that documentation. They frequently fail when they say, well, where's your receipts?
Yes.
Where's your financial statement? Where is the growth plan that you have? How realistic is it? So we help and support develop that, so that once you get out of our program, you can grow. There's nothing to stop you from growing, because you have all the elements to take you forward. And these are not imposed by us, or the incubator, but done with the entrepreneur. What's your vision? What do you want to achieve?
The one thing that I was missing was, because you've talked about graduates, those that have come out of TEVET, but what about the layman, the one that didn't go to school but has an idea? What about that guy?
So that's a very good question as well. So we are running rural hubs as well. People who don't actually have those opportunities typically.
Right. Okay.
And what we're trying to do is get them on board. So that means that we are going much further into the rural areas to inform about this program, inform about a course, inform about what you can benefit, and also do a little bit of education about what does this mean.
All right.
And so I think what we're seeing from even our first call is that we've had a very good response from rural entrepreneurs as well.
Is it?
Yeah. So that they are also interested in participating, and in many instances, some have gone through. So there's a split between rural and urban, about 50-50. And that's something which we didn't deliberately go out of our way to do, but it is happening. So that
shows... It's just growing beyond you.
Yeah,
it's just happening on its own.
It happens on its own. This is one of the beauties of entrepreneurship and private sector development. You can't always think about how this works.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bud. This episode has been very enlightening. I've learned so much, and I'm hoping that I'm also going to apply for this, because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm still scaling up also.
Well, thank you very much, Gertrude, and thank you for the questions. They were very interesting, and I hope others will join us.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all, and that's how we wrap up this discussion in this episode. From me, your host, Gertrude Mlanga, it's Zantchito Malawi. Thank you. Until next time, peace.